So we're going to have the opening statement first with Alderperson Holman.
Good evening, Mayville. My name is Joseph Holman. It is an honor to be here tonight to debate the issues and for the citizens of Mayville to find out more about all the candidates. I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for taking the time to host the event, Mike Kurtz for televising it, and Jeremy Vanderloop for moderating. I grew up in Mesa, Arizona, and after graduating high school, I decided to join the United States Army. I have had the privilege and honor of serving this nation for over 20 years, all while deployed to 10 different nations around the world in support of various missions, from counter-narcotics, humanitarian relief, and to the most recent war on terror. While in the Army, I accomplished and passed not only some of the toughest but best leadership training in the world, one of which is Ranger School, my proudest accomplishment in the Army. I absolutely love serving, and after many years, I decided to retire. My wife and I, with our 3 children, decided to settle down and live in Mayville, Wisconsin because of its housing prices, safety, amenity, and natural beauty of the area. Over 2 years ago, and after beginning college, I found myself with a lot of time. I love to serve and sat down with my wife, and I said I wanted to be involved in the community and decided to run for alderman. Over the past 2 years, I have worked on many contentious issues. A couple of these issues include the sewer laterals and reducing employee health care costs to our taxpayers by $30,000, which I led and my opponent attempted to defeat not once but twice. I've had some disagreements and agreements with our mayor. But one thing that I did disagree with him on is the vacancy tax, and I disagreed with him on some points of the sewer laterals. But he has left the city in better shape, and we have an expansion of the tax center paid for by a city that is blessed to have the support from the Ted and Grace Bockeber Foundation. The expansion will not only enhance the city to be better physically, it will help the tax center operate more sustainably. I'm up here tonight running as mayor to continue to stay the course of being conservative, but also to lean in a new direction. This new direction will decrease taxes, pay down our enormous debt, and I'm your conservative choice for mayor, and I need your support for this new direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderperson Bell.
Thanks, Jeremy. I would like to start off by thanking the Chamber for hosting this important debate. I would also like to thank Mr. Holman and you, the audience, for taking time and listening on the issues that face our great city. I am Rob Belk, and I'm the president of the Mayville City Council. I'm running to become your next mayor of Mayville. I have roots in the Mayville area and have been raising a family in Mayville for the last 18 years. I love our small city and want to preserve our way of life and build for the future. Like many of you, I'm a hard-working blue-collar worker who has been employed with the local telephone company for the last 17 years, along with managing and running the Communication Workers of America based in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. I am the only candidate who has the knowledge and vast experience in engineering, business, finance, and negotiating with some of the top employers in the country. I am asking for your vote on April 5th to become your next mayor of Mayville and bring back a common sense approach to our city government. Thank you.
Thank you. The first question will go to Alderman Holman first. And my question is, what are your top 3 goals if you're elected mayor?
My top 3 goals if I'm elected mayor, number 1 is our city right now pays $1.19 million just to service our debt. My absolute top priority is to start bringing this down. My next top priority is to decrease taxes. I think that for the last 9 years, we have been overtaxing our residences $365,000 to clean up bad accounting and bad spending. My absolute goal after the expiration of the 9-year plan is to give a big portion of this back to the taxpayers while taking another portion and start to decrease our enormous debt. So that's number 2. Number 3, my absolute next priority is safety. That has been a big push of mine, and I've already let a lot of folks know with our city workers that that is my absolute biggest priority within this city, because safety, I have learned this for many, many years of how important this is, and I think that we need to make sure that our city employees are safe in everything they do. Those are my top 3 priorities.
Thank you. Alderman Bell.
Thanks. My top 3 priorities are Highway 2867. The project has already been pushed back until 2018. We cannot wait any longer. This needs to be done. With the state funding down in Madison that's being pushed back because of lack of funding, we need to stay on course with the 2018 project and keep pressuring our politicians down in Madison to make sure they know the importance that this cannot wait any longer and that we need these roads resurfaced and re-upgraded by 2018. That's number 1. Number 2, stay on track with the 9-year plan. Our current administration has not stayed on track with the 9-year plan, and we need to keep on focus on that. We need $300,000 left to keep our goal and be on track with the 9-year plan. Along with the 9-year plan, after it is established, or actually after when we complete it, to establish a new plan, a new 5-year comprehensive financial plan, and spell out for the taxpayers of Mayville what can be expected over the next 5 years, whether it's tax reduction, debt reduction, or reducing our sewer water rates, or improvements to our infrastructure and our buildings. That's number 2. Number 3 is business incentives. We don't offer any business incentives for business to come to Mayville at all. A few months ago, I had a business approach me that wanted to move to Mayville and ask for incentives. We don't offer incentives. Our neighboring cities do offer incentives. We could do incentives on a couple different bases, whether it be small interest loans through the city or in some kind of grants. And hopefully we can establish a business improvement committee to look into this further for any kind of business incentives. That would be number 3. Thank you.
All right, Alderman Holman, any rebuttal? You mentioned Highway 2867, and you mentioned business incentives.
Yeah, see, with the Highway 2867, he is correct that they're about 4 years behind in schedule with the state. I actually was up there last May talking with our state senators and representatives up there to actually let them know that, hey, this is a big issue, and I actually drove up there and spent the time to do that. This project is already scheduled to be done. We're finishing that out, so one of the things I take a look at is Horicon and Maine are already getting done. It's already been paid for by the state. So to say that, I think that it's already being done. The 9-year plan, we're going to finish that out. And we're going to finish that out on time as well. Business incentives. When I take a look at business incentives, I don't just take a look at Main Street. I take a look at all businesses in Mayville. And the best business incentive that you can do is decrease taxes for them. It's not to tax one group of businesses and then go ahead and redistribute and go ahead and give to another. I don't believe in those type of things. What I do believe in is lower taxes for everybody and all our businesses, because I think that that is exactly what is going to help our businesses grow, and not only that, bring more in. Let's face it, the reason why somebody would choose to come to a particular place, especially as a business, safety could be one, but another one is, what's your taxing rate? That's put into your plan actually when you're getting ready to start up your business. What is your tax rate? We are the top 25% in the tax rate in all of Wisconsin, and this has got to end. Now I understand that other cities, we could compare other cities, and there might be top against other cities. We're right in the middle, but that's still not good enough. If we are in the top 25% of all townships, cities, and villages, this has got to end. What makes us think that we can keep and retain our businesses?
Alderman Bell, your response.
Yeah, on the Highway 2867 project, state jobs are always pushed off. I mean, I'm not saying this one's going to be pushed off, but they could be. And that's what I'm saying. We need to keep focused with our state representatives and tell them this is important. And if anything, you hold their feet to the fire and be accountable. Make sure this is done. They've already pushed it off. We can't wait any further. On the lowering the taxes for business, Mr. Holman's totally wrong. You can't lower taxes on businesses against the law. But you can offer incentives for them to come to your community. And I'm not talking about lowering their taxes. Everyone has to pay tax. That's what the law says. We're offering incentives for them to come to our community. And Mr. Holman says he's going to lower taxes. Well, he can't lower taxes. It has to be done by the common council. You need a council that's gonna work with the mayor to lower your taxes. That's how the city government's set up. So, you know, I can say here and say, I'm gonna cut your taxes by 5%. Doesn't mean nothing unless you get the council's approval to do it, because they are the legislative body of the city government. And the mayor is the executive branch. Thank you.
All right, we're moving on to the next question. And this will go to Alderman Belt first. It's a question from a local business owner. Our store has the highest water sewer bill in the state, 106 different stores. Included, our bill in some cases is 3 to 4 times higher than the average. If elected, what can or will you do to rein in these high costs?
It's a very good question. I've had it asked me quite a few times, but the water and sewer rates are actually established by the Water Commission, and it's actually through the state of Wisconsin. It's regulated through the Public Service Commission. However, the commission did raise your water rates just this past year. One of the things that we were doing is we're subsidizing the Seneca Foods candy company on their water rates. I've seen the emails that went back and forth between our director, and it's appalling. One of the things that I recommended to the sewer director is, instead of having the candy company have such high water rates and being subsidized by taxpayers, what we should have done is that we should have gave them a permit to drill their own well at the candy company and charge them a yearly fee for the permit. It would have saved the candy company a lot of money. It would have saved the taxpayers a lot of money. The other thing that we could do is when they established the 9-year plan, part of the 9-year plan was to increase people's fire protection on your water bills. And once we end the 9-year plan, we could take that money, instead of having the fire protection being paid by the taxpayers of Mayville, the city should pick up the fire protection costs and give that money back to the commission and lower your water rates.
Thank you. Alderman Holman.
The utility rate, when you look at it from an economies of scale, you can see that Beaver Dam is obviously going to be a little bit lower than what Mayville is. This is why we have, this is because we have not enough people within one utility department. And Alderman Belko is actually right when he said that the state is the one who sets the rates along with the wastewater commission. To reduce the cost, though, one of the things that we got to continue to do with our wastewater department is to make sure that we take a look at every single loan and see if we can to make sure that our loans are at the best interest rate. Another thing that we can do is fix our laterals. This is a huge issue. See, right now, the water that is infiltrating through the laterals and the mains and some pumps and all the other cross connections, if you really take a look at it, for every single year that you're running our water utility, you're adding extra cost on there. As a matter of fact, I was just at the last wastewater commission meeting, and they're trying to come up with ways of how much chemicals they can put in to bring our phosphorus levels down to prep for the infiltration that's getting ready to come in for the spring. And just to let you know, just to buy some Sorbex. I've been to these wastewater meetings. I don't know where he was, but I was there. And they're getting ready to spend another $30,000 just in Sorbex chemicals to be able to deal with treating, because we got to get our phosphorus levels down. And so a lot of times when we look at our utility, we've got to mind rules, and those rules deal with DNR, and we got to deal with the state, and there's a lot of other things. Now, for me to be able to cut the costs, the one thing I can't say that we can, the state law is not going to allow us to cut the rates, but they can keep us from going ahead and increasing them fast. And one way to do that is really take a look at things like our laterals. Think of how much it's running just in our pumps alone. And so that's an issue that I think we can do to help keep our utility rates under control.
Alderman Bell, your reply to that.
He did mention something about the sewer laterals.
Yes.
You know, I did think the sewer laterals was totally uncalled for, and that's why I started the petition. And we got over Me and my people got over 410 people to sign a petition that we thought we were gonna have a referendum. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But that was a huge concern of mine and my constituents because it's gonna increase their bottom line is their pocketbook. And people are gonna spend a lot of money. I mean, me personally, this year, I'm gonna spend at least $5,000 to $6,000 on my curb and gutter and sidewalk and my lateral street. And it's gonna hurt me in the pocketbook, just like it's gonna hurt many residents and elderly and people working in this community. As far as the water rates increase, I think I pretty much touched on that. As far as the 9-year plan, people have been paying $10 on average, $9 to $10 on average for the 9-year plan that's been on their water rates. And we need to reduce that by having the city pay for the fire protection cost. Thank you.
All right, your response, how about the $5,000 or $6,000, that he's talking about with special assessments?
Here's what sewer laterals could be, and just to let you guys know, the average is 3,000, and that's the absolute average. Now curb and gutter, and that's minus curb and gutter, so curb and gutter is going to be an additional cost. I absolutely agree. But here's the thing: we can go ahead and spend about $4.5 million as a city, or we could spend $40 million. So in effect, you're taking what, an extra $36 million out of the economy in the future to not deal with an issue now. Now, I didn't support the lateral ordinance for many reasons before, because it didn't include provisions such as the old ordinance, which is still in place until we get an amended lateral ordinance, which is still ongoing. I didn't support the old ordinance for many different reasons. Number one was that it did absolutely nothing to, if your lateral wasn't broke, there was absolutely nothing in there to that would keep you from having to fix it. So that's been, as a matter of fact, the amended one would add that. Another thing is I'm absolutely against going outside of road projects. But here's the thing: I'm going to have to deal with compromise, just like everyone else up here. And because I'm not going to be able to get that, I already know it's not going to. It was voted down in one of the meetings, and I pleaded with the council for a long time. And they gave me extra time to speak about it to try to plead that case in. But I'm not going to win that battle. But here's the thing: the ordinance right now can still get amended later on down the road if we find out that that fixing the laterals is actually working. And when I really take a look at all the changes that are in there, from the word, inserting the word goal in front of 100, which gives a council latitude, future councils, future mayors latitude, along with the wastewater commission, down to instead of having to go inside the home, to just go to the foundation. There's been all kinds of things that are getting that I hope that the council will approve on the fixes, although I don't believe that I'm going to get everything which I wanted. But that's a part of being in government, and I understand compromise and I understand those things. But if you don't vote for the ordinance in this next one, it means, Rob Belk, you like the old ordinance much better than all the things that have already been crafted as a change. And I do agree with you that our voices weren't heard. Why do you think I was out there helping collect signatures? Because I didn't think voices were heard. There were some things in the ordinance that I absolutely disagreed with that made absolutely no sense. But if you don't support the changes, Rob, on the next one, well, then you're for the old ordinance, which means, because that's what government is. Government's about compromise.
Okay, you went a little bit over, so I'll allow you to respond to that.
Yeah, it's totally uncalled for when things are being done behind closed doors in the backdoor agreements. And the council already had the ordinance for provisions and the changes. It automatically, the commission took it upon themselves to bring back to the commission to make the provision and changes, and it hasn't even been introduced to council. But apparently Mr. Holman, through his backdoor dealings, knows all about what's going to be proposed on the 14th before I do as the president of the council.
Well,
all right, Mr. Holman.
Should I respond to that?
Go ahead, but you're going to be 15 seconds.
What he just said up there is just absolute hogwash. First of all, a council works together. We all, outdoor dining, someone had to propose it. Well, I proposed changes to the ordinance, and I submitted it to the mayor, and then I submitted it to the council as we sat down. So that's all it is. Thank you.
Okay. What can you do if you're elected to enhance economic growth for our existing businesses?
First of all, as I said before, I'm for taking care of all the businesses in Mayville. And here's the one thing that probably differs between me and Rob. I don't think taking care of people means giving away money. What I think taking care of people means is reducing our taxes. And that to me is taking care of people, because if I reduce our taxes for our residents, and I'm working on my degree in economics and understand how the shifting of money works. Our residents can shop in town. Another thing is, if we do reduce the millage rate, businesses are impacted because businesses own a lot of the places. And if they don't, it affects their personal property taxes. I know I pay personal property taxes on DJ Antiques and Crafts, and I'll tell you what, when I opened my personal property taxes, I almost fell over. So I know the struggles that businesses go through because I've opened those type of things. But the thing that we got to continuously do is we got to continuously take a look at our tax rate. And this is how we support our businesses. Another thing we can do if we're talking about things like Main Street and stuff, again, I don't believe in grants, but what we can do for Main Streets, they call that preservation-based economics. What you do in preservation-based economics, you don't have to give away money, but what you can do is you can start a multiple bank program. That's one option. And if you establish a multiple bank program, what you can do is banks then administer loans to help out facades, or which are commonly referred to as storefronts, and things such as that. And those are the type of things that I think that you can do on that. But we also have one thing that we haven't done in the last 2 years, and that's meet with our CDA, and that's our Community Development Authority. And one of the things that you can do as a council is maybe we could take a look in the future for loans, not grants, because I am opposed to grants. I think you guys are aware of that by now. But I don't see why we couldn't open up our CDA, or Community Development Authority, and take a look at administering some loans. Although right now, I don't think economically it's a condition that the city of Mayville would be in to be able to do with our enormous debt. 1.19 million, or 33% of everything that came into the city is going to pay for debt. So it's going from your pocket to City Hall to a bank. And that to me is very important, because we got to reduce that. And this is my absolute plan and absolute goal in doing that. And that's going to help business as well.
Thank you. Alderman Bell, what can you do to enhance economic growth for our existing businesses?
Well, I touched on a little bit before, but first thing I think we should do is establish a downtown improvement committee. My opponent voted it down, even have a committee established to look into any kind of business incentives at all, which totally baffled my mind because it didn't cost the taxpayers 1 cent. But we can't even establish a committee. Like I said, with small interest loans and grants, and if we have to apply for grants, we can apply for grants, or we can possibly have grants available for the city. I'm not saying we should give up $1 million from the city money, but there's ways that we can help, even with a facade program for downtown. I established that, and we couldn't even get that through towns. But that's some of the things that I think we need to look at as being downtown improvement committee would be the first step. See what they can come up with, and then with small interest loans through the city and grants. Thank you.
Thank you. Your rebuttal.
Again, just giving money is not the answer. If caring means we give money, we've got problems as a city. Because caring does not mean giving out money. Free money, here you go. That's not what it is. Caring is creating an environment where our cities can definitely flourish. And that to me is caring. It's the rules that we pass. It's making sure that our businesses aren't being harassed by government, aren't doing those type of things. And to me, that is absolute caring. And I'm willing to help Main Street Mayville and sit down with them, and I'm willing to help Chamber of Commerce and sit down with them. I'm willing to help out any businesses that's looking to, that needs help. There's certain things that we can do in the city of Mayville that don't require throwing money around. There's many things that we can do. We can update our Facebook page a little better. We can go ahead and maybe have a better a web page that gets people, when they look up Mayville, they know what businesses to go to. There's other things that aren't going to cost to where we're just handing out things. I'm absolutely opposed to just handing out money. I'm a conservative, and conservatives don't believe in that. We just don't hand money. Thank you.
Alderman Bell.
Yeah, I guess conservative doesn't mean we should actually have a committee either. It doesn't cost any money to see what we come up with a solution. This is another one of the things that me and Mr. Holman do not agree with. 2 heads are better than 1, 100 is better than 2, and 5,000 is better than 100. I mean, there's people in this community that are very smart and they know how to do business transactions and try to establish economic growth program. Business incentives, I'm a big business incentive guy because you know what? We live a long way from any state highway and there would be, no business is gonna come to Mayville because we don't have a state highway through. That's one reason. So you need to offer some kind of incentive for them to move to your community. We don't offer any kind of incentives and other communities around us do. We are gonna lose out every time to that business incentive. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is to Alderman Belk first. Is there something that the city of Mayville is not presently doing that you believe could significantly improve the life of Mayville residents and strengthen the local economy? If so, what is it?
I'm gonna have to ask you to say that one more time.
All right. What are we doing that we should?
All right. One thing I don't think we're doing that we should is business district that we just talked about. I think that would be a good starting point. The other thing that I think is very important is that when this 9-year deficit plan ends, we need to establish a 5-year plan. And like I said, just lay it out for the taxpayers. This is what can be expected over the next 5 years, whether it be reducing some of our city debt, reducing our taxes, reducing our water rates if we could. Them are the things that I think we need to do. The other thing I think that we're not doing it is that we're selling off our city assets and resources. I mean, this last 2 years, we've sold the cell tower to make up for the 9-year plan. The 9-year plan was established to have $365,000 that go towards our deficit. All right, in the last 2 years, we have failed on that. It was $265 the first year, $210,000 this year. We have a shortfall. So what did we do? We decided to sell the cell tower rights for $180,000 and make up the difference. To me, these are things that are wrong in our community. We should be selling city assets and resources like the golf course or the cell tower. These are ridiculous. What are we going to do next? Sell the senior citizen building or sell the library? This is what makes us a community. And I do not want to, this is why I'm running for mayor. So we do not jeopardize our future of the city.
Mr. Holman.
I'll respond to Mr. Belk right away, and then I'll get to your question. First of all, we did not sell the cell phone tower itself. We did not do that.
The leasing rights.
That's exactly correct. And we sold the leasing rights for 15 years worth of payments. That's what we sold it for. And here's the thing. There's still a risk because the cell phone company can up and give us a 30-day notice and walk away. So by that, if they walked away, there would have been increased risk. So that's one thing for it. Another thing that we dealt with the cell phone tower is everything that when I take a look at the cell phone tower issue itself, is that it really helped out Mayville taxpayers in the long run. And so what I think we did was absolutely 100% correct. Now, what are we doing? What aren't we doing now that we should do? Number one, I think is go ahead and start coming up with plans that are long-term to address our debt, that are long-term to address all those things that are going to cost our taxpayers money in the future. I think we need a new plan. And I'm hoping to get the Common Council together and to agree upon a new plan of addressing the debt and addressing our issues within Mayville. That's all I got.
Your response.
Folks, the cell tower was making us $1,100 a month, and we had a 10-year lease agreement left on it. That's about $13,000 a year over 10 years, $130,000. We sold it for $180,000, not for 10 years, not for 20 years. We've sold it for 100 years. That's $1,800 a year. We're already getting $1,100 a month. You do the math. it's totally wrong. We also, that's all I got for that.
Mr. Holman?
Oh, my opponent must be a little off. It wasn't 100 years, it was 50. Another thing is when I take it in, yeah, some people might laugh at that, but here's the thing. What he failed to mention is that any new businesses after 2026 that might use that cell phone tower, we also get half of all the things from that, half of all the payments after 2026. That's a thing he also forgot to mention. So there is other things that deal with this cell phone tower that I think are very good. And I also take a look, how much does it cost to borrow $185,000? That's a thing that's never mentioned. So if you sell the land leasing rights, we're not talking about the interest rates for borrowing and things like that. And so, which way I take a look at it, I thought it was a great deal.
All right, we're going to move on to the questions from tonight. I'm just going to pull one here from the, actually I'm not going to do that, and let everybody else do that so that I don't get confused with doing anything. Enough from the peanut gallery.
Yeah.
All right, can you explain why we need a unified school district? The numbers don't add up, and if I wanted my kids to go to Horicon schools, we would live there. So I think that we're on Alderman Holman first. So your thoughts on a unified school district?
Okay. The school district obviously is part of our city. The thing is, if I comment on that, well, it's totally separate issue. I'm up here running for mayor, and when I take a look at our school district, though, I've got 3 kids. 2 of those are in Mayville schools, and actually one in a private, one in the public. And when I really take a look at a unified school district, this is going to be up to the numbers, and I think it's going to be up to the taxpayers. Is my understanding is that it's going to end up going to a referendum, even if the school board ends up passing something. So that's something that is up to the school board, number 1, to see if it's going to go to a referendum. Number 2, it's going to be up to the taxpayers on whether or not they push it. For me to comment on that and to say one way or another, I do know that I've read a lot of studies, 43 out of 45, and this is a one particular case study, 43 out of 45 school districts in New Jersey, although not in Wisconsin, actually saw an increased student outcome when they consolidated schools. So I have been paying attention a little bit to some different things, and I've actually pulled a lot of case studies and stuff, and I thought they were very interesting when it comes to seeing unified school districts. But I think what it boils down to is numbers. I know when I really take a look at it, you also got to take a look at the homogeneity aspect. The homogeneity is where, hey, we're just Mayville, or we're just Horicon. And a lot of times those are barriers. Barriers to many different things. Barriers to being able to find ways to better ourselves as people. Because in the long run, it's not just Mayville, it's not just Horicon, it's Wisconsin. It's the United States and it's the world. I've been all over the world and we're all interconnected more than a lot of times we know. And so when I take a look at just the homogeneity aspect, a lot of times the school district and even up here as council members, we got to break down barriers, talk to our other communities out there. And I plan on creating synergy and talking to our other community mayors and council members if given the permission with the rest of the council, because I think synergy is great, and that is what's going on all across our nation, and that's something that to me is very important as well.
Thank you. Alderman Bell.
Yeah, Mr. Holman's right. You know, this is a school board decision, but as us elected officials, we do get, I'd say, pimped a lot about what's going on in our community, right? And that's just one of the reasons we moved here, because I moved here. I'm sure a lot of you did too, because of the school system. We have a good school system. We got a good sports program at the school, stuff like that. That's why we moved to our communities, and it's probably 50% of the reason I moved to Mayville. I also like our, river frontage. I like our downtown. I like everything about Mayville. That's why I love the city. That's why I moved here. The numbers, numbers can be tweaked and tanked and twisted around any way you want the numbers. But I am a numbers guy. If it doesn't make sense, then why are we doing it? But from the projection I saw, you know, if they're not going to close any schools down, it's not, the numbers ain't going to come out. So what are we doing? I have talked to at least 3 different school board members, and I told them I was concerned that, you know, they could possibly make a decision without a referendum. And all 3 of them assured me that they would put this up to a vote for the taxpayers to be able to make the decision, which I think is the appropriate thing to do.
Thank you. We have a good mock trial program too.
Yes.
Your response, Mr. Holman?
No, it's, I don't have a response. You can go on to the next question.
All right, next question. Thankfully, he picked one that was typed. So this is actually submitted by Tracy Heron, who had the job that you're looking for. The job of mayor often means being able to forge consensus among the council members and reach a compromise with the alderpersons who have opinions different than your own. How effective do you feel you will be with working with the council if you're elected mayor? I think it's to you first.
Well,
Oh, actually, Mr. Buck, I apologize.
yeah, I think that it is important. You know, I negotiate pretty much every day with my employer and other employers, and I think that at the end of the day, when you negotiate with pretty much anybody, you don't get 100% what you want. You don't get 0% what you want. Somehow you got to work in the middle and compromise. And if you get 50% of what you want, I mean, you're ahead of the ballgame. And you know, there is going to be council members that I'm not going to agree with, and then there will be some council members I do agree with. But you have to compromise and come into the middle, and that's what city government is about. You know, so many times I've had it up here where I've had aldermen say, well, this is the way we've done it for the last 40 years. Well, if that's the case, then our forefathers, you know, could establish the rules 100 years ago. We don't need a city government, right? We're supposed to have a city government revolve over time, so when the society changes, and we get changed with the times. That's why we have city government in place. But to answer his question, yeah, we need to compromise and work together.
Alderman Holman, your thoughts on compromise?
I think that one of the things that I had to do is I had to lead, and I led men because I was in an infantry unit, one of the airborne ranger units. And I've had an opportunity to deal with compromise more than what anybody else has ever had to do, probably in their lifetime, unless they were doing the same thing I was, which is in the military. I've had to compromise with people to inspire them to move upon an enemy, to inspire them to do many different things. And to me, leadership is all about values. Those are loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. And I think that I will be very capable of working no matter what ideology is out there, because I saw it all being in the United States Army. I'm going to have that ability to work with the future council and be able to do anything that we need to do to be able to accomplish and make our city a lot better.
And your vote?
No rebuttal.
Alderman Holman, how do you propose to revitalize the downtown area?
As I said before, this is called preservation-based economics. And I've learned a lot about preservation-based economics. I understand BIDs, which are considered business improvement districts. I'm absolutely opposed to any city government instituting a bid. Now, 16% of all bids in the United States are actually done themselves, which means that businesses get together and they say, hey, we're going to go ahead and increase the millage rate on ourselves. I'm opposed to the city increasing a millage rate on any of our businesses. For instance, Waupun has a bid they assess an extra millage rate of 1.5. And so, and so their millage rates are much higher in Waupun, and that's a pretty common thing that you'll see in many different municipalities. But here's the thing, bids don't always work. And then the only thing you're doing, again, is just taxing businesses and saying, hey, who's the lucky business the next time? And doing that. Now, here's something that we can do. Again, I brought it up before. Berlin, Wisconsin has it's the multiple bank loan. And what it is they administer loans that are very low interest to businesses. And again, as I said before, I still believe that maybe taking a look through the CDA or the Community Development Authority to do those things. And then to make our taxing environment much better for our businesses. Which means, hey, you know what? Not increasing taxes, and I still don't get why would I create a bid district for a city our size to go ahead and say, hey, I need more of your money business, put it in a pot, and then turn around and give it right back out. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, I really look at it, it doesn't make sense. And that's what it really amounts to. And our businesses are important. And capitalism is important. Certain businesses are doomed to fail. I know. Another thing is, you can look it up. DJ Antiques and Crafts Inc. is one of my businesses. I run a seasonal part-time store out of Chilton, Wisconsin. I'm hoping to establish another business here in Mayville. And that way my wife can have a full-time job. But I also know that I have a 90% chance rate of failure. Now, I've done and implemented things that are going to help me not fail. Number one is I don't take loans. So that's one thing for my business. All my stuff is self-funded. And I spent the last 20 years saving every dime, dollar, and quarter and eating ramen noodles and forcing my kids to do all kinds of stuff. So I had enough of my own money to be able to start the business. But I'm not asking our businesses to do that because there's a lot of great loans. I just think that that was a recipe to get out of that 90% chance of failure rate. But we can do these things. And I think that a lot of times, what I saw in Chilton was much different, which I wouldn't mind. Linking up with colleges. There are certain colleges where people will actually come down to your city for free for anyone that's wanting to open up a business. You also have the SBA. I found the SBA very, not that good. So that's just my personal opinion. I thought it was horrible. And but I found out that one of the colleges, a guy from UW Green Bay, taught me a lot about businesses, came in, explained how to set it up, your articles of incorporation, you need to do this, and so on and so forth. And to me, and that doesn't cost your city anything. It just costs a telephone call to a college. Hey, can somebody volunteer some time? Those are the type of things that I think can help businesses start up and maybe can come up with those things that, hey, what landed people to fail? Come up with lists of that. There's so many assets and resources out there that we can do. Thank you.
Alderman Bell.
Yeah, I touched on some of this already, but part of when you go to a town or a community and you look at their downtown and their downtown is beautiful, the perception is that the whole city is beautiful and that might be a place that they want to settle. One of the things I came up with in the council was I came up with a facade program. And what the facade program basically does is that if downtown businesses want to improve their storefront, whether it be an awning or redo the brick, that there would be some grant money set aside and it would be a 50-50 cost. So the business pays 50% and the city pays 50%. That way, everything downtown looks nice. And it's an easy sell for the taxpayers because if the downtown looks nice, the perception is that it's a nice community, let's move to your community, which raises up the property values. Along with small interest loans, most people don't know this, but the city gets loans at 2.5%, 3% right now because we are rated, bonded institution. So we could do that, small interest loans through the city. And we can't be afraid of trial and error. A lot of our great inventors use trial and error. They didn't get it right the first time, they kept try, and try again until they got it right. But that's what I would do is start with a business improvement district, hopefully we get a facade program, and beautification of our downtown.
Any rebuttal?
Here are his words. Business improvement district. More tax on our business, we redistribute, and we say, who's the lucky person? That to me is not taking care of our businesses. Taking care of our businesses is decreasing the millage rate, and that is taxes within Mayville. This improves all businesses at the same time. Now, the facade program, again, I've already explained that there's different ways we can administer a facade program or help any entity that wants to administer it. It's not going to require taxpayer money. To me, that just makes more sense. Why do we have to give money away to show we care about something? Why can't we help them in many other different ways? It's always about giving away money. This doesn't mean you care. If somebody actually cared, you know what? I love my daughter, but I don't have to give money away to show that I care. That's the thing. So I'm asking each and every person within Mayville to say, hey, look, there's other ways that we can do things. And there's great ways that we can do things. And I think this is one of the most important things that we can do, is create a better Mayville by making sure we actually help them. And we don't have to just give out money to help them. There's other ways.
Your response, Alderman Bell.
Yeah, increased taxes on a business improvement district. I don't understand how he's saying it's gonna create taxes. I mean, the facade program that I established was a $10,000 we were gonna put in there. $10,000 to improve our downtown. And as far as the business district, there wouldn't be any tax increases to the taxpayer. Unless you say that the facade program that costs $10,000, and it is tax dollars, would be into that program. But it's all dependent on the council. The council has to approve it.
All right.
Can I have another statement on that?
Up? Nope.
All right.
We're going to cut it off there. This is going to be the last question.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. All right, starts with Alderman Bell. Regarding employee health insurance, are you going to drop city insurance, take penalties, therefore employees have to search for insurance, or possibly Obamacare?
Well, that's part of our employee incentive package for our employees. One of the big issues that came up is that our employees in 2016, they're going to be actually making less money at the end of the day than they were in 2015 because we raised up their health insurance and their deductibles. I wasn't opposed to raising their deductibles and their health premium, but not at the expense that we did. We raised their health premiums 150 cents, we raised their deductibles 1,000%. To me, part of having employees, we need to treat not just the employee, but their families accordingly. And we also need to have incentives for people to come to Mayville to be a worker. We do have a good program, and we do have some of the best workers, I believe, in Dodge County. And we don't have a lack of interest in employees trying to have employment here in the city of Mayville. And one of them is our incentive program for benefits and our wages.
Alderman Holman, your thoughts on the city insurance?
Sure. I led and helped reform city health care for our city employees. The thing is, we've got a great group of city employees, but they were paying $83 per month to have their health care paid for. Well, I don't pay that. I'm sure a lot of you don't pay that either. So I asked our city employees to contribute a little more. And to me, that was an important part of being able just to meet our budget as well. So contributing a little more, yes, we raised it to, I think it was around $170 per month. And then we added a nominal deductible of $1,000. Now, I just got done knocking on some doors and I was seeing, hey, you know what my rates for healthcare are? $400, $800 per month. For us to pretend that that wasn't a right move is wrong. Now, I know that we need to be competitive with other cities and municipalities. And oh, by the way, our police department, because we can't you can't really negotiate when it comes to healthcare. We put them in this just a $2,500 deductible. That's what they have. They don't pay a premium. But when I take a look at this boils down to his support of liberal ideology. He's president of a union. Of course he's the only one that voted no. He has to because he's got union support. He believes in the union. And his, I don't know where he's coming up with 1,000%. See, every time you put a percent down instead of saying a number, you know, it literally puts it in a different light. If they were paying $1 a month and I said I raised it 100%, now they're paying 2. Well, it's different. So, but the thing is, you got to remember, he's president of a union. This is part of his ideology. He could never vote for anything that would support it. Now, one of the things that I remember during the vote, the reason why he couldn't support it was because he says, well, I can't vote for something that's going to increase insurance 200%. Well, he's the only one that voted no to it. Why? Why would he do that? And that's what you got to ask yourselves. It's because him and I believe different things. I'm a conservative, he's a liberal. He's a union president. And matter of fact, I think there was a letter brought out today and said that he owns a business. Really? Or he was president of a business. Well, last I checked, in 1935, FDR, that instituted the unions, well, and you can check with our lawyer, although he won't say anything, but you got to have articles of incorporation in order to consider yourself a business. The unions have no articles of incorporation to consider themselves a business. But he lied in his newsletter and says, hey, I'm president of a business. Well, that's fictitious because that's not what it is. And so when I really take a look at it, this just boils down to ideologies. Him and I are completely different in the way we view things. And I will say lastly, so I think this is the most important part, we've got a great city crew. They do great things for this city. They're out there at 3 in the morning. They're out there patrolling our streets. They're out there saving our kids' lives. But at the same point, I think that asking our city employees to pay a little bit more for health care was a right move because it puts them more in line with those that they serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Belk, your response.
Yeah. Yes, I am president of a union, Communication Workers of America. I stated that in my open argument, in my open discussion. I support all workers, not just union workers, but all workers across this globe. I mean, I have been defending them in legislation in Madison all the time. That's who I am. But the reason I did, one thing Mr. Holman is wrong on, the reason I did vote against insurance increases, because at the end of the day, the city employees are actually going to make less money than they did in 2015, which is wrong. I mean, how would you like to make less money at the end of the day, $100, $200, $300 a week? And it's ridiculous. And as far as Mr. Holman, he raised the insurance premiums for the employees. They put them in the P4 plan, which is $1,000 deductible. Then if that was equal across the board, then why did he put our police officers in the P7 plan with a $5,000 deductible? That wasn't even equal at all. That's another reason why I voted against it. As far as running a business, yes, it is a business. I pay my 940 taxes just like everybody else does at the end of the quarter. And that gives me the advantage over my opponent. Because I have the experience in negotiations and bargaining and engineering. I am the candidate that has the most experience running for this position. And I think that if you give me the opportunity to show you, I can make a world of difference for this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Your rebuttal.
Yes, he's absolutely wrong. The police department does not pay $5,000. It's a $2,500 deductible, and it's called the PO7 plan. It's not $5,000, so he's wrong in that. Again, our city employees are doing a fantastic job, and just like many of our citizens out there that work in their jobs and stuff like that have been asked to pay a little bit more for their health insurance, I think it was time to do the same. And if I was to do it all over again, I'd do it all over again. But here's the thing. I think the health insurance for our city employees is right where it should be at. So we are still very competitive with other municipalities, and we're very competitive with the private sector out there in order to retain and keep some of the best employees. And so he's absolutely wrong that the police department does not pay a $5,000 deductible. They pay a $2,500 deductible.
All right. At this point, we're going to move on to the closing argument of the mayoral debate, and then we're going to move to statements from the alderpersons. And the closing arguments, I will start with Alderman Bell.
All right. Well, thank you, Jeremy. I'd like to thank, again, I'd like to thank the Chamber and everyone for participating in this important debate. Mayville residents, this is your opportunity to elect a mayor that is a leader and will work hard for everyone to make Mayville a place we can all be proud of and raise a family. I have over 10 years of experience in negotiations, payroll, budgeting, lobbying, and managing staff, just to name a few. Residents, elections have consequences, and this mayor's race is no exception. Over the last 2 years, our small community has been in the spotlight over selling the golf course, selling the city cell tower rights, bringing Kikoski Leroy sewage to Mayville, spending $4,500 on the golf course appraisal. These are all important issues my opponent has supported and voted for. We do not need any more radical changes with special interests now or in the future. I wish I could stop at each and everyone's house of all 3,000 voters in Mayville. However, like many of you, I have been busy raising my 3 daughters, working full-time, and legislating on the city council. My 3 primary goals for the city, as I stated before, are stay on course with the deficit reduction plan, establish a 5-year comprehensive financial plan that will let our residents know what they can expect, whether it's tax reductions, pay off debt, capital improvements, or road repairs, or reducing the water rates. Number 2, establish a small business incentive and a business committee to help the downtown business and develop our business climate. Number 3, keep on pace with the Highway 2867 projects, gaining contact with our state representatives, and let them know we can't wait any longer for these road repairs and stay on the course. I am not the Tea Party candidate, and I'm not the Liberal candidate. I am the candidate that is qualified and experienced to take Mayville from being a good city to live, to a great city to live, work, and play. I'm asking for your vote on April 5th. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Alderman Holmes.
Being the mayor of Mayville requires dedication to our taxpayers and a lot of time. Unlike my opponent, I'm not beholden to anyone because I'm funding my own campaign and not taking any donations. I think we've shown tonight who your conservative choice for mayor is. And it's definitely not wrong. His ideologies are totally different. I mean, he's president of the union. That should say a lot right there. That union endorses Bernie Sanders. That should say a lot right there as well. Those type of things right there are very important to understand. This does not make my opponent a bad person. It just lets you know a little bit more about him and what he believes. Now, I believe in conservative causes, so you know what I believe. I've served on the city council for 2 years. I'm chair of the personnel committee with a proven conservative voting record. I understand that government is an important role. My new direction of paying for more capital improvements up front and going ahead and starting to reduce our debt will make our city better. And this in turn will provide money for more things such as improving our roads, fixing our parks, or dealing with just the yearly increases to provide services, otherwise known as the CPI or Consumer Price Index. Let us not forget our 9-year plan is expiring. Again, let us not forget our 9-year plan is expiring. After expiration of this plan, we need to decrease taxes and pay down our short-term loans early. This will make it possible for more targeted tax decreases in the future. Who do you trust to move Mayville in a new direction? This is why I need your support. Elect Joe Holman, your conservative choice for mayor. Thank you.